And then when I was in graduate school, he came to the University of California, Santa Cruz. And I was, at that time, I just published my first book, Ain't I a Woman, Black Woman, and Feminism, and people actually tried to keep me out of what was going to be a small group of 25 people meeting Paulo Freire, because they didn't want feminist issues to intrude upon this man of this, great educator coming from another country. And someone said, this is just absurd. This is what education is all about. And they gave me their slot. And sure enough, I wanted to ask Paulo about all of those, comments about liberation being about men coming into their humanity and manhood. And when I did, people immediately tried to silence me. And he won my heart forever, because he said, stop. What are you trying to do? You shouldn't. She's absolutely right to question. That's what I am saying in my work. And for that moment, he was such an incredible embodiment of who he was as a teacher and as a human being in the world, that he said, look, I'm writing about openness and interrogation, and the fact that people should be able to ask questions, that's what learning is about. So I don't want anybody keeping someone from asking me difficult questions about my work. And that was the beginning of my personal relationship with Paulo.
The more students work at storing the deposits entrusted to them, the less they develop the critical consciousness which would result from their intervention in the world as transformers of that world. The more completely they accept the passive role imposed on them, the more they tend simply to adapt to the world as it is and to the fragmented view of reality deposited in them.
Today, we're going to talk about is becoming aware of our social, political, and economic conditions in order to change them.
The question becomes the consequences. That if we take a certain action, are we willing to bear the consequences of that action? So that taking an action in and of itself doesn't have to be an expression of privilege, because the consequence of that action may not be privileging at all. And I think that a lot of times, as people of color, we don't do certain things because we do inhabit spaces of great fear and dread of consequences. And we don't evaluate our optimal well-being around what is this action that I should take. In a sense, often we give up way more often than we should out of that fear that if I don't conform and I don't, totally conform, I will not be able to succeed. So that for us all, then we have to decide, well, what are you trying to succeed at? You must have had all kind of job offers. I said, what I get is bell hooks is difficult. She stirs up trouble. You wouldn't want to have her on your faculty, et cetera, et cetera. So that we don't necessarily, for my own life and my own self, I made certain choices, and I have to bear the consequences of those choices.
The classroom, with all its limitations, remains a location of possibility. In that field of possibility, we have the opportunity to labor for freedom, to demand of ourselves and our comrades an openness of mind and heart that allows us to face reality, even as we collectively imagine ways to move beyond boundaries, to transgress. This is education as the practice of freedom.
The pursuit of joy. Joy teaches us, it teaches our students how to recognize beauty, imagination, aesthetics, wonder, laughter within ourselves and the world around us. Joy is centering wellness and healing and equity, for there is no joy without justice. I'm going to repeat that. There is no joy without justice. Joy is what sustains us, and while the ancestors fought for many things, ultimately they were fighting for their joy.